Belsat TV, the television of free Belarusians. They set off 15 years ago. Belsat TV was going to tell the truth about what was really happening in Belarus. Support culture, history, and Belarusian language. I look at this today and I'm proud that I was able to assist with its launch. Young people from Belarus and Poland, full of enthusiasm and energy. I remember our workshops and long hours of trainings in a
The stakes for speaking the truth and doing honest journalism to just get out to the citizens was incredibly high. And this film detailed in great depth how high those stakes are and what that looks like. Hearing about those jailed just for simply doing their job and telling the truth. The hundreds of journalists leaving Belarus and the severity of the government's repression was just staggering to me. And the documentary really opened me up to all of this due to their very clear, direct manner without shying away from the realities of their situation. Pacing was sharp to fit a lot in. And I just was really blown away, especially with the example of the response of the government to COVID and complete denial of its existence was shocking. It just really showed how integral this service is for their viewership, but how difficult it is for them and their bravery in delivering the news.
I was horrified to see the video footage of the young detained journalists in cages as if they were animals. I'm very impressed by Belsat TV and all they have done to spread information about the travesties that are going on there. I am very impressed by so many young people standing up and reporting info for freedom. I love the rhythm of the moving soundtrack below the action and lots of interesting archival footage when Belsat TV began. I am honored and privileged to have seen this film.
This documentary was really eye-opening to that situation and the persecution of independent media in Belarus and how widespread and dire the situation is. It really brought attention to how important the truth is in media and getting the truth out there to people, and how powerful media can be, so much so that it scares the government into jailing all of these journalists who are completely innocent. I thought it was very striking to hear from the journalist talking about how she was persecuted for absolutely no reason. She was completely innocent, and people did not believe that she was completely innocent and being persecuted in this way until they themselves got jailed. So just hearing from all of these journalists and people who are just out there telling the truth and getting jailed for it was really powerful. Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing from Dasha and hearing Katya's story as well.
Obviously, Belarus and namely Lukashenko have been in the news for all reasons heinous recently. So while this piece can't steer away from the brutal realities of Belarus and everything else going on there, it at least touches on something a little more positive. So what good can and is being done there by Belarusian people and specifically those at Belsat TV. Something I wasn't aware of. So it was great to be able to learn something. The information here is presented really well because it's really a documentary with a good high bar for production value, and it's just really interesting, to hear from people on the ground there, because that's like really sometimes the only way you kind of get to a story and get to the truth, and seeing what they go through to get their stories and their truth is just amazing. And also on a technical level, the documentary itself had a really good sound mix. The music is there, and even while people are speaking, but and it helps, but it's so faint at times. It never distracts or gets in the way of the message of what's being said. It was a real delicate balance there, and I think they just scored it beautifully, just very thoughtfully. So yeah, overall, really high production values, great.
I thought the pacing of this was really great. Just kept me intrigued and interested all the way through. Just the point of this, though, is very sad that this is happening. These young journalists are putting their neck on the line to put the truth out there and just enlighten and educate people about what's happening in their part of the world, and yet they're getting put in jail, but they're still persistent and in what they want to do, and that they're not letting it stop them. To me, with these young journalists, was very impressive, with all of the journalists. But a lot of this focus was on these young women that were put in locked up for years. I like the timelines that were constantly popping up about like what was happening and when. Really helped me follow along really easily. Just great footage throughout, with all of the old footage mixed with the more current footage and the interviews. And sad that some of these people had to leave their home country and their family and friends and support system to just feel safe. This really enlightened me on what's going on for these people, and with the war going on in Ukraine and Russia, just a lot that these people are dealing with. So well done on this documentary. And I also wrote down Trample's basic human rights. So just really well done here.
It makes you recontextualize a lot of things, especially the fact I come from America, and one of the things I feel like we definitely take for granted is that privilege that is freedom of speech. As you see in the documentary, journalism really is a very dangerous profession, because sometimes truths can get you into some very serious trouble. As we saw both in Belarus and the stories from Russia, a lot of people can get very hurt for what, in transparent terms, is purely political reasons. And it's very unfortunate how, honestly, not even just in general, how sometimes it feels like corruption has gotten so blatant at this point where you can tell it's happening, but now the question is, well, what can be done about it? But yeah, this one, it definitely makes you think about your role in the world, and just how scary the world can be, just how dangerous a lot of places can be just for voicing your opinion.
It's a historical event that the rest of the world didn't know about. They were too focused on the Ukraine and not knowing that other countries might need help as well. This is a terrifying situation for reporters to be arrested for reporting the news, and it's a whole news station where it's going how they have to change for the new regime. It's a terrifying situation. That image that they put of the courtroom towards the beginning is seared in my mind because it seems so third world, and it's not something you really think about in Polish courtrooms. You thought they were more advanced, and some of the things that the reporters were saying, being arrested and treated like murderers, knowing who was in prison for speaking out, protesting, stuff like that. It's terrifying because it sounds almost more like a communist country than a civilized country. It's quite frightening to know that this can happen all over an election. And they said it started years before. I think they said 2017 is when they said. But it's quite terrifying, and it's a moment in history that people should know about and show that we shouldn't just be focused on one event, and we should be asking why and focus on others, which this is what it showed through a television network, a news networks, to show exactly what's going on, because this was quite terrifying to watch, to know that these people are going through that and living this day by day.